Good, everybody. Your boy Philip Earl. We back in here with another YouTube video. This video right here, man, giving it to us. Okay, this knowledge has been hidden for over 1,000 years. It's gonna let us know the truth about what happens after death. And listen, I'm making this video for the black community, especially for black men, because something that you said, Charleston White, something that you said, and you too, Anthony Dewberry. Both of you guys said you don't trust men, okay? And you just have this sense that you're being played with, you're being toyed with, okay? There's a reason for that. And this video right here, it really breaks it down, and it's eerily similar to what I've been saying, that we need a superior way of thinking, okay? And there's a reason why you guys feel this way. And I think black men are suffering from this, okay? And the reason is because we're created in the image of God, capital G-O-D. And this is who is doing the toying. And that's why you guys feel like you can't trust men. But it's not men in the flesh that's doing this to you. Let's get right into this video so you guys will understand exactly what I'm saying. Get right into it, shall we?
For over 1,000 years, these teachings were locked away, reserved for only the most advanced spiritual practitioners, hidden from the masses, censored by religious institutions. Even today, most people have never heard of them. And there's a reason for that. The Tibetan Book of the Dead was never meant for the ordinary mind. It was considered too powerful, too dangerous for those who were unprepared. Because if people truly understood what happens after death, it would shatter everything: their beliefs, their fears, their entire perception of reality. Think about it. If death is not an end, if it is not a punishment, if there is no divine judgment, then what happens to the control systems built on those very ideas? Religions would crumble, governments would lose power, society as we know it would unravel. For centuries, religious institutions have preached about heaven and hell, about divine punishment, about the need to obey higher authorities to secure a place in the afterlife. These narratives serve a purpose: control. If people believe that an external force dictates their fate after death, they will follow. They will conform, they will fear. But what if the truth is that no one is judging you but yourself? That the afterlife is not about punishment or reward, but simply your own mind reflecting back at you? This knowledge was kept hidden because it would destroy the idea that salvation comes from an external source. It would force people to accept something much more terrifying: that they are fully responsible for their own fate. And that's not all. Modern science is beginning to confirm aspects of these ancient teachings. Near-death experiences, NDEs, are filled with eerily similar descriptions. People report seeing the clear light, encountering their life review, feeling an overwhelming sense of peace or fear depending on their actions in life. Even cutting-edge quantum physics is starting to suggest that consciousness is not confined to the brain, that it may persist beyond death, that it may operate outside the limits of time and space. For centuries, this knowledge was dismissed as superstition. But now, the lines between ancient wisdom and modern science are starting to blur. So why don't more people know about this? Because the system is designed to keep you distracted, to keep you focused on the material world, on temporary pleasures, on meaningless fears, to keep you chasing money, status, validation, so that by the time death arrives, you are completely unprepared. The biggest lie ever told about death is that it's a mystery. It's not. The Tibetan masters mapped it out over 1,000 years ago. They understood that the first 49 days after death follow a precise structure, that the mind shapes its own afterlife, that awareness is the only key to freedom. And yet, almost no one is preparing for it. Because the real secret is this: If you are not conscious in life, you will not be conscious in death. And that means the cycle will repeat over and over again. But for those who understand the truth, for those who begin preparing now, there is another way. What comes next is even more important. If this knowledge is real, then the next question isn't just about what happens after death. It's about whether we're failing the test entirely. If the Tibetan Book of the Dead is right, then most of us are already doomed to repeat this cycle. Not because we are weak, not because we are unworthy, but because we are completely unprepared. Look around. How many people spend their lives even thinking about death, let alone preparing for it? Society has conditioned us to fear it, ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist. We distract ourselves with work, entertainment, money, and meaningless pleasures, all while knowing that one day our time will come. And when it does, we will be as lost as the billions before us, blinded, confused, and caught in the same trap. Because the real test doesn't happen after death. It's happening right now. The bardo is not just a place in the afterlife, it is a state of mind. The same illusions that deceive the soul in death are already deceiving us in life. The fear that keeps souls running from the wrathful visions, it's the same fear that controls people every day. The attachment that pulls souls back into reincarnation, it's the same attachment that keeps people chasing money, fame, and temporary pleasures. The inability to recognize illusions, it's the same blindness that keeps people believing everything they are told, never questioning the reality in front of them. If you are not conscious now, you will not be conscious after death. This is why so few people escape. The Book of the Dead teaches that the same habits, fears, and desires that shape our daily lives also shape what happens after we die. Those who live in ignorance die in ignorance. Those who are controlled by fear in life will be controlled by fear in death. And those who live chasing illusions will continue chasing them after their body is gone. The cycle is relentless. It is perfectly designed to keep us trapped. And the worst part? We are doing it to ourselves. But here's the truth most will never understand. The cycle is not unbreakable. The Tibetan masters left behind these teachings for a reason, so that the few who are ready can wake up. And the first step is to see reality for what it really is. Most people will continue living the way they always have. They will tell themselves they have time, that they will think about death later, that right now there are more important things to focus on. And then, in an instant, their life will be over. And they will enter the bardo just as lost, just as confused as every soul before them. But for those who wake up now, who begin to break the cycle before it's too late, everything changes. Because preparation does not happen after death. It happens while you are still here. And that preparation is not about religion or dogma or rituals. It is about awareness, about seeing the illusions for what they are, about breaking free from the fears, the desires, the false identities that keep us trapped, not just in this life, but in the next. Because the question is no longer what happens after death. The real question is, are we already dead? Most will move on and forget what they've just learned. They'll return to their distractions, their routines, their programmed existence. But the few who understand will know that this moment is a turning point. But now the question becomes even more urgent.
Right now.
If the way we live determines what happens when we die, then how do we prepare? How do we escape the cycle before it's too late? The answer is simpler than you think.
Come on.
If death is a test, then life is the study guide. But the problem is, most people don't even know they're being tested. They live as if life is endless, as if death is some distant event that won't come for a long time.
It is for you.
And then one day it does.
You keep coming
The
around
Tibetan
again.
masters taught that the only way to be conscious in death is to be conscious in life. If you spend your life running from reality, distracting yourself with temporary pleasures, and avoiding deep self-reflection, then when the moment comes, you will be completely unprepared. You will cling to your identity, to your fears, to your regrets, and in doing so, you will be pulled back into the cycle, lost in illusion once again. But there is another way. The first step to preparing for death is
Hamster wheel.
detachment, not in the sense of rejecting life, but in the sense of not being controlled by it. Most people are enslaved by their desires. They chase money, validation, status, relationships, thinking these things will bring happiness. But in the bardo, none of it matters. The only thing that determines your fate is the state of your consciousness. The more attached you are to the material world, the harder it will be to let go. And the harder it is to let go, the more likely you are to be reborn into another life of struggle, another cycle of forgetting.
I'm not jealous of no man.
Everything and living in isolation. It means mastering your mind, learning to control your thoughts instead of letting them control you. It means understanding that nothing in this world is permanent. Not your body, not your possessions, not even your identity. And once you truly grasp this, you will stop fearing death. The second step is awareness. The bardo is a realm of illusions, but so is life. Right now, everything you see, everything you believe, is a projection of your mind, shaped by conditioning, fears, and external influences. If you do not learn to see through the illusions now, you will not see through them in death. Meditation, self-inquiry, and deep reflection are the keys to breaking free, not as religious practices, but as training for the final test. In the same way an athlete trains their body before a competition, the mind must be trained before it faces the afterlife, because in that moment, your thoughts become your reality. If you have spent your life reacting with fear, doubt, and confusion, that is exactly what will consume you in death. But if you have spent your life cultivating clarity, presence, and detachment, then in the bardo, you will recognize the illusions for what they are. You will not run. You will not cling. You will remain still, aware, and free. And that is the difference between those who escape and those who remain trapped. The third and final step is acceptance. Death is not something to be feared, nor is it something to avoid thinking about. It is the most important moment of your existence, the moment when everything is revealed. If you live in fear of it, you will be ruled by fear in the afterlife. But if you embrace it as the natural transition that it is, you will approach it with peace instead of panic. The ancient masters spent their lives preparing for this moment, not because they were obsessed with death, but because they understood that life and death are the same thing. One cannot be mastered without the other, and that is why modern society keeps people distracted, because a world full of people who do not fear death is a world full of people who cannot be controlled. If you understand this, then you are already different from most. You are already waking up. But there is still one more truth you must know, because everything we have discussed, everything about the bardo, about illusions, about breaking free, is meaningless unless you know this final secret. Most people will never prepare for death. They will live their lives blindly, consumed by distractions, chasing illusions, fearing what they do not understand. And when the moment comes, they will be thrown into the bardo, confused, lost, and unprepared, just as they were in life. But here's the final truth. Death does not change you. It only reveals you. The Tibetan Book of the Dead does not describe an afterlife in the way most people think. It does not promise a paradise for the good or a hell for the wicked. It does not place judgment on anyone, because the bardo is not an external place. It is the mirror of your own consciousness. Everything you will experience after death, the clear light, the peaceful deities, the terrifying illusions, the life review, and the pull toward reincarnation, is nothing but a reflection of the mind you carried in life. If you lived in fear, you will die in fear. If you lived in attachment, you would die clinging to what is already gone. If you lived unconscious, You would drift through the afterlife in the same way, reacting, grasping, falling back into the cycle. But if you lived with awareness, if you trained your mind to see through illusion, if you prepared yourself while still alive, then in death, you will recognize the bardo for what it is: a test, a transition, an opportunity. And that is the secret hidden for over 1,000 years. The reason these teachings were forbidden, because if people knew the truth, they would stop fearing death. They would stop wasting their lives on things that do not matter. They would stop being controlled by false beliefs, by religious institutions, by governments that use fear to keep them obedient.
We're in the
A
flesh.
person who understands death is a person who cannot be manipulated.
There's
Because
a whole
once
bunch
you
of us
see the
now.
truth, once you understand that this life is only
So it don't
preparation
matter.
for the next,
Get yours.
everything changes. The way you think changes. The way you act changes.
I'm gonna get mine.
You no longer chase temporary pleasures or meaningless distractions. You no longer fear loss because you know nothing was ever yours to begin with. You no longer cling to identity because you realize it was never real. And when the moment comes, when you take your last breath and cross the threshold, you will not panic. You will not grasp. You will not be pulled back into the cycle of forgetting. You will simply be aware. And in that awareness, you will have a choice, a real choice, to break free or to return. Most will never reach this point. They will move on from this video, return to their routines, forget everything they have just learned.
We're in the flesh.
And when the moment comes, they will be unprepared. But you don't
No,
have
you
to
won't.
be. If you've
'Cause
made
of
it
me.
this far,
You won't.
then you are already different from most. You are already seeking. And that is why we go even deeper inside Insights Academy, where we reveal the knowledge that cannot.
No. See, now you have it. You have everything you need. Watch it back several times. Okay? It'll hit you like a ton of bricks if it didn't already. Okay? Now you know. Nobody in the flesh is controlling you unless you let it. Unless you let them do that to you. Okay? It's called free will. And that's basically what this video is telling us that we have. We need to grasp a hold of that. Okay? It is what it is, guys. Okay? That means we got a decision to make when our time comes. But now you guys know, man, it's right there for you. Now let's go forth and help the Black community. Imagine if we get people to escape that hamster wheel, what's going to happen in our Black community. Okay? And we give young people this knowledge. All right? You start turning this thing around. Yeah, it might take 50 years, 100 years, but come on, man. It's time. It's here. My way of thinking is far superior. I don't know about yours. I just explained it to you. One video. And there's plenty more where this came from. I'm going to start live streaming, guys, real soon, just to let you guys. But listen, this one's went real long, so y'all know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.